you are still with us, growing, nourishing peacefulness. When I teach meditation, I often break it up in 3 different parts, and I use the acronym USA. And you might have noticed that the meditations we've done so far, the teachings I've given so far, will actually match that format. So the U stands for unburdening. So the relaxation and the unburdening is always the first step. Then the second step is settling. That's the S in USA. When the weight has gone away, when we're not weighed down anymore, bogged down by things, then the mind, the heart, the thoughts are able to slow down and to settle. And then the A at the end of USA stands for arriving, or sometimes also for awake. So we talked about presence that arises when the things do fall into place. So I don't know how you're going with that process so far. But very often, even if things are going well, let alone if they're not going well, we come across expectations. And then we start to grasp again. Then we start to control again. And that basically messes everything up, unfortunately. So I wanted to share a little story with you that stuck with me, and that I found quite good to explain a little bit what's going on here. So when I started to get interested in Buddhism, my father was quite happy with that. He felt, I'm broadening my horizon and getting exposed to different ideas. So he actually supported me, and he was the person who gave me my first Buddha statue that I can remember. That was in my room for quite a long time. But there came the point, the more I got interested in Buddhism, and the closer or the more the idea took root in my mind, in my heart, that I would like to ordain and become a monastic, the more difficult it became for my father. And in our tradition, or in the Buddhist tradition, it actually says in our rules and regulations that we should ask permission from our parents before we go forth, before we ordain. So I did. And my father never talked about, his emotions and feelings that much. But when it came to this point of ordination, he actually took quite a strong stand, and he first said, that he wouldn't speak to me, and he really wanted to show me that he didn't agree with it, and that it was difficult for him. And it was a slow process, but we came to the point where he said he could not accept it, but he could tolerate it. I think that were his words. I mean, he said it in Czech, in my native language, so It's always a translation when I relate it to you. So the words might not be exactly accurate. But he used a little simile, a little story to tell me how he felt. He said in Czech Republic, when he grew up, it was common that you had the eggs of the ducks, and apparently the ducks are not very good with sitting on their eggs. They're not so what's the word? Can't think of it now. So they don't do it as well as the chickens do. So one way to solve that problem is that the farmers apparently take the eggs of the ducks and put them into the nest of the chickens. And so the chicken would have a couple of chicken eggs and also a duck egg in its nest. And because they sit on their eggs and they really, are patient and wait until they hatch, the duckling would hatch with the little chicks, with the little chickens. And that mother hen would think, first of all, okay, this little one looks a bit weird, but a mother's love is very strong, and the bond between their young and the mother, so they accept this little duckling as their own, and they feed it and they teach it. But there comes a time when the chicken and the little duck walk past a pond, and the little duckling has it programmed in its genes to understand that it has to swim. So it actually jumps into the pond and swims away. And the hen is really distraught and doesn't understand the world anymore and is running up and down on the shore of that pond or of that lake. And my father tried to describe his feelings that way, that he felt like the mother hen that didn't realize that the son wasn't a chicken, but that the son actually was a little duckling that swam away. So quite a poignant story there, and especially for me in that situation. So he was the hen running up and down. Are we the hen running up and down sometimes in life? When we have certain expectations and those expectations are not being met. If we had enough wisdom, if we had enough understanding of what the truth actually is, that this little being was always a duckling, it was never a chicken, that was just an idea that we created, that we held on to, and that at that point, when the duckling jumps into the water and swims away, gets disappointed. So disappointment actually comes because we have seen something in a way that it is not. We haven't seen the truth of the matter. And then we are not willing to accept it because it's too hard. So if we had enough wisdom, though, then we would understand that it is like this. Then we would be able to make peace with what is, which is the title of this little talk here and the meditation. So in German we have the word Enttäuschung. And Ent is basically a prefix that means like this in English, or anti. And Täuschung is deception. So the word actually means dispelling deception. And that's what we do want, even though it might be painful at times, it might be difficult at times. Dispelling deception. So it means to face the truth, but also to embrace the truth, to integrate whatever is happening, to befriend. And that's what happened over time with my father as well. I made the step to become a Buddhist monk, and yes, I risked it, so to speak, but I trusted that it would yeah, well, I mean, I didn't know really how it's going to pan out, but when I did fly to Switzerland after ordaining, and my father came to pick me up on the airport, at the airport, he did embrace me, and yeah, he found a way to not be running around on the shore, but to accept that what he thought was a little chicken actually was a little duck that wasn't that little anymore. So whatever it might be in your life, your children, your health, your job, your career, your body, these things might or most likely will disappoint you at some stage. So do we have the wisdom to deal with these things in a way that we can make peace with what is? And we are learning this in meditation. So no matter what the expectation might be, it's going really well, or it has gone really well and you want that back, or there is difficulty in your meditation, understand that our expectations are not what actually is happening. And when we are disappointed, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because we are starting to see the truth of the things. And if we're skillful, we are learning to embrace them. Okay, let's practice together. So let your eyes gently close. And find a way to sit which is easeful, which is kind, which is relaxing. And maybe have in the back of your mind for this meditation what are your expectations that you have of your body, of your mind, of your breath. and see if you can drop those expectations. Because when they are present, we are basically at war with what we meet, with what is. We are making war, making things worse, resisting, controlling. Instead of making peace, befriending, and being at ease. So whenever you come to this point in meditation where you can feel that there is friction, that there is resistance, you can ask yourself, what do I expect? And to see if that expectation can be dropped. Seeing whatever is there with wisdom and understanding. And then seeing what happens. If it is seen in the right way, if it leads to genuine acceptance, then it will also lead to peace. So check in with your body as it is right now. Not expecting it, pushing it to be this way or that way. And if there are some areas that are a bit tense, that might be sick, where there is some sort of dis-ease, See if you can cease to want to change them, to be the way you want them to be. Giving them the space they need. Befriending them, making peace with them. Not merely tolerating them, but accepting them. If there is anything physical that can be done, please go for it. Change your posture, wiggle, scratch. Stretch that part a little bit. But then do the same thing mentally. Give it the room to be what it is. Don't make it a chicken if it is a duck. Relax your expectation, your view of how it should be. And see, feel what the result is. And if there is relaxation and ease, or tingling, a feeling of comfort, don't expect it to stay. Don't expect it to be in a certain way. Accept it for what it is. And give it the space to be. See it for what it is. A result of causes and conditions. No one's mistake or no one's achievement. And the same with your thoughts and emotions, with mind states that arise. And expect them to be this way or that way. Allow them to be. And allow yourself to see them for what they are. Echoes of what has happened in the past. Comments of what is happening. Projections into the future. Let them go their way. Without you being sucked into them or struggling with them. Being at peace. and therefore not feeding them or creating any friction. If we use wisdom and understanding, then things will calm down and settle. Then they are not a problem anymore. Then they are just what they are, and we can peacefully coexist. I wish you a peaceful rest of your meditation, in which you can let go of any subtle expectation that might still be there, so that you can make peace with what is.